Hello my friends and welcome to a very special deployment episode because it's a defensive battle for once. It is the Yelnya offensive. I'm sure that's how it's pronounced. Anyway, now one thing that interests me about this map is obviously you've got 3 deployment zones here, so the enemy is going to receive reinforcements at various points. Fine. The briefing suggests that you should hide behind this river. Which is fine. But here's the thing. Which side of this river would you want to be on if you were defending, right? If you look here, this village tile is accessible by 3 separate tiles. And if that isn't enough, you also have high ground all around the outside here. None on this side. So assaulting this position seems to me to be very easy to do. Especially when you've got all this artillery floating around. The second defensive position by the river has similar issues. Only 2 tiles where the city tile is accessible, so a little bit more defendable. But once again, the same issue of high ground on this side of the river, none on this side. Then we finally have, by the way, Fortification Tiles, they add +5 to your defense, so you can sort of think of them as like the opposite of river tiles. The sort of positive version of being on a river tile. Instead of being -4, you're +5. But anyway, carrying on. Here we have, once again, 2 places from which you can attack the village. And once again, we've got high ground positions in ideal locations for assaulting. And again here too, and ideal positions for assaulting. And then you have this whole corridor here, where the enemy could just simply come here and attack these positions and then just come down. Ironically, this position is more defendable than any other position on this map, because there's no high ground on the other side. So even though there are no fortifications or beneficial tiles on this side, the fact that there's no high ground on the enemy side means defending is much easier. Because artillery can't take advantage of the hill tile to smash the front line. So anyway, I was thinking about how undefendable these supposedly defensive positions are. I mean, honestly, you would probably be better off defending here from, like, back here. Which is a weird thing to say. That's a railway line. Huh, how interesting. I've never used those silly trains, though. They are garbage. Good stuff, they are not. Okay. So anyway, I was looking at that, and then as I was staring at the map, I realized that there's no air bases either. So one key way that you defend against an artillery push is to simply target it from the sky. Well, the air bases on this side of the river are totally exposed and totally unusable. This one might be usable for like 1 turn, but I wouldn't even bet on that. I'm only saying it might be usable for 1 turn because it doesn't appear like there are any units close enough to take it on the first turn, but even then I wouldn't bet on it. So the only airbase that we have is this one. We've got 3 deployable ones as well, but this airbase is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's our fighters falling away at this position. 13, 14, 15. And that's where our tacticals and bombers start to fall away. So it doesn't have enough range to support the front line. So this river is basically designed to be undefendable, or near undefendable. You'll almost certainly be better falling back, letting the enemy have these tiles, and just holding back here, away from the river, away from where the artillery could potentially use the high ground to pummel you. Defeat the push and then push back. Now, I was thinking about this, and then I realized that there is one frontline airbase that is usable and potentially defendable. And it's this one. So remember, we got five aircraft slots for a frontline base. Deployable aircraft bases can support 5 aircraft, which is exactly how many I'm using. This base is potentially defendable because we are allowed to deploy here. Only 4 units. But 4 units might be enough. The rest of our deployable spots are a million miles away. So, my thought is, we've got a road here that leads straight to the front line. My thought is that we deploy our full air force here and 4 of our best units, and we actually just try and hold here. This conveys several advantages to us. One, this high ground is now belongs to us, and we can use it against the enemy. I can deploy the wrath of my full air force here, picking off key units to ensure that the front line holds. Reinforcements can be swiftly moved along this road up here to reinforce this position, because 4 units is not the hugest amount, but it will do. And then, if we establish a defensive line here, instead of this defending here effectively covers these 2 bases for us. So we only have to worry about an incursion here, which we can collapse. Once we've cleared this area, we can collapse downwards on it. So my thoughts are that we defend here, preferably not too close to the hills though. Even 15, I mean, you know, we've got a pair of 21 centimeter guns here. They're undoubtedly going to be in position to shell within 3 or 4 turns. So we want something high impact here to just hold temporarily while we clear this area, and then come down and clear. Just basically blob here and then cut across the map diagonally, destroying everything in our path. And that means we just have to hold here. Noting as well, they've got some bridge engineers here, but they don't have transport. So it's going to be like 6 turns before they can get to the river. Okay, so with that strategy in mind, and we also note that the intelligence briefing said that the Russians would have no aircraft early on, but might have more later. Five aircraft is basically our limit. It's nice to have some more 109Zs, because I think that is the one that's superior to the Bowfighter. We were using the Bowfighter because I didn't have any more 109Zs to use. Yeah, so the air defense of the 109Z is superior, and the stats are superior too. Although it does cost a few more slots. The Bowfighter is only 2 slots. But we can only deploy 5 aircraft, so that might be a worthy exchange. So if you note here, if I put the fighter in the middle here, and then I plop down these two, we got our bombers here. We're gonna need our bombers that are out there at their absolute leveling best. At their shining, dropping their hatred on your face best. Okay, so if you put all these down, you will then note that there is there's no more slots of this. This airfield is full at 5. And there's really no other airfields on the map apart from this home base here. Now I am tempted, although it may get shot down for it. I was tempted to put recon planes here and use rebasing to actually scout that area. But yeah, I don't think recon planes are going to be that useful on this mission. Sadly. They've got a range of 12 or 13? Yeah, okay, 13. They've got a range of 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so the moment that they're forced to retreat from the front line, they're useless. So what I'll do is I'll keep one at this rear. Well, there's only 5 slots there, so I better keep that free. We'll keep one at this rear base, and we'll shuffle the other one away, just in case I need a recon plane. Okay, so now our next step is to decide what do we want here on this front line to fight all this. Now, amusingly to me, I am very tempted to run this flame tank at full power. And it has poor ground defense. And there's a lot of infantry here. And so I would love to be able to just steamroll my way through all of it. Or at least with this in artillery mode, we can defend against it. Okay, alright. So first things first, the Panzer 3Hs are now due for retirement. They cannot hack the rigors of fighting against the Russians, really. They take damage all the time. Now, I do have a fair few that I have stolen now. We gotta be a little bit careful about over-strengthening here, because I do not have an infinite supply of these. Well, I don't have an infinite supply of anything, but obviously running 5 sets is definitely going to make things a little bit tricky. Right, bridge engineers, not necessary for this mission. That doesn't fit into my strategy of defending here. Although, you know, potentially gumming up the works with bridge engineers could buy time. But I think I want to stick to offensive action. Admittedly, in defensive engagements, bridge engineers can be a really useful tool for just holding space. We do need to hold here. These 2 points and this whole section will be defended by just fighting tooth and nail for this zone. So that leaves this as the only point of ingress, and it's almost undefendable. So the question becomes, how do you defend an undefendable location? That is a good question. Maybe a wall of garbage engineers might be one such way of doing so, without really risking many assets. How come these guys are 18? Are these guys just set to the wrong size? Oh, no, because they haven't got transports. That's why. It's actually 3 slots for that, with trucks. I'm like, why have they got a weird number of, a weird number? That's because of the truck. You know what? Let's take some bridge engineers to gum up the works with. Let's just take some normal ones. Okay, alright, so this artillery does not have rapid deployment, but it does have some serious capability. One, two. Hang on. There's no high ground like right there. Okay, alright, let's start with the obvious. To defend down here, to hold down here, I need let's say an anti-tank gun. This is like my best offensive unit. So I'm not sure I really want to This unit could really be the linchpin of a defense here, but could also be the linchpin of an offense here. This boy does not have readiness. Alright, let's say we use these two as anti-hard and anti-soft to protect this area. Plus, of course, 1 anti-air is going to be needed. And the bridge engineers, just to soak up damage. That is a minimum holding force. The engineers go at the front, and then these two behind them. The question is as to where we want to defend, and I personally feel that we want to defend away from this frontline area, because it's going to be too easy for this artillery to just move onto this high ground. I'm actually thinking that I want another 21cm gun for counter artillery work. Our 17cm would be fine. If you're paying for it. If you're paying for the slots, 17cm is better. Normally, obviously, I use reduced slots for such things. Okay, so 1 17cm gun. For the purposes of this mission, we're going to put rapid fire 1.5x on this one, so that we can really viciously counter battery. Probably better things I could be doing with these, but anyway. Okay, that's everything. We got counter artillery, meat wall, counter air, counter soft, and counter hard. That is an absolute minimum complement. Many Gungans are going to be killed in this defense, I think. Unless I get my move on very quickly. Okay, alright. So, front line. We've got our surrender machines here. Now, I was thinking, if they're not going to have many aircraft, then I don't need readiness on these. Not readiness, although readiness is very nice. Oh, that's a question of how much anti-air have they got. The old tactical with double strike can be used to assassinate anti-aircraft guns. Unfortunately, the initiative of this thing is absolute garbage. So hit and run is not happening. Hit and run would work on this guy though. But I gave him first strike because obviously it combines readiness with the ability to defend. Okay, you're just gonna have to live without no retaliation. So, this surrender machine has got envelopment, overwhelming attack, and hit and run, which is all right because this has got good initiative. It just can't. It can't get, you know, the no retaliation effect against other tanks of the same class, which is basically only the T-34-40. I think pretty much all the other Russian tanks have got 6 initiative, along with all the German tanks. But this one has no such luxuries at all. So I'm going to put no retaliation on this one so it can do the work of tapping T-34/40s and making them surrender. So it makes sense for me to put this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In theory, if I can clear the way, this tank would be able to move 6 tiles and smack that and make it surrender on the first turn. I'm just going to be careful because this is all rough terrain here as well, so this is going to slow me down if I go rushing at the enemy. One, 2, 3, 4. But I can slide forward 1 space and still fire, as is the artillery way. Okay. This is a road here. Straight to the front line. Okay, these tanks are actually quite fast. As offensive as they are. Let's convoy them on the road here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We should be getting to the front line pretty fast. Fleet anti-air ready to go. Not sure if that anti-air is going to be needed early on. Recon. I suppose the defending team can have a recon car. It might be useful. Okay, and we'll move the infantry along this road here and up here. This is a more defended position since I'm already here. So if I put the infantry here and just truck it to the front, it should be safe. Right, now the real question is, what am I putting here? We have some choices. We've got aggressive counterattack tanks. Speaking of which, how many slots is this? 8. That 17cm gun is the 17cm gun is actually more expensive. You know what? No surrender might actually be useful on the front line too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to temporarily undeploy the 17cm. Oh crap, I pressed the button up there like a fool. Okay, that's not a problem. Where are you? Let's take reduced slots off this tank. Let's put no surrender. That might actually be more useful. Actually, I don't see a tank like this surrendering. Let's put no zone of control. That might be better. Here we go. Let's put reduced slots on you. What is going on here? Why am I... Yeah, 8 slots, okay. Previously I was paying 10 for the artillery. No, I wasn't, because it's, it was reduced strength. Of course. Here I am thinking about saving slots. You know what? That's a little bit better distribution. Although this does reduce potential it does reduce potential overruns. And that you know, 15 strength makes it more likely that we can kill a 10 strength target or even a 15 strength target in one hit. As my main frontliners. Okay, do you know what? I actually regret that decision. It was a good idea. It was a good thought. But actually, let's just hold on to that for now. In a practical sense, it wasn't actually worth it because if any of you remember my video guide, the rule of 10, the rule of 10 means that, or I guess it would be the rule of 15 in this case, no matter how powerful your unit is, it cannot make kills greater than the number of units, than the number of attacks it has. So if you've only got 13 attacks, you can only get 13 kills. That means that any unit with 15 strength or more strength than 13, you can't one-shot it. It's impossible. Which is another reason why the rapid fire 1.5x hero is truly amazing. Sure, whatever. Okay, now I have a question. Why can't I move it back? Oh, is it still over strength? It's still over strength. Oh. Okay, alright. Let's make sure it's the correct one. Let's put this at the front because it's slow. It will take time to get where it needs to be. centimeter. Blob team. suppose I might as well put River Assault back on this guy. You know, Ignore's Zone of Control is actually a really great hero, but I have no appreciable use for it right now. Yeah, this bad boy is actually so cheap, slots-wise. It's actually a really great vehicle because it's so cheap. It actually has reasonable stats for such a cheap vehicle. I would almost be tempted to swap it in instead of a recon car. Ah well, let's not overthink things. I was just thinking, like, instead of all this meat, I could just deploy that tank. Okay, so back to the original question, which I was posing before I accidentally unset all my stuff. Which is, which unit do I put on the front line? Which other unit? I think it's going to be this one with the aggressive counterattack. And let's get the other high power one to the battle as fast as possible. Okay, fighter in the middle once again. Plop, plop, plop. Plop, not you. Plop. And you back here. In case you're required. Okay. Alright. So the plan is the Air Force sweeps in. We assassinate the anti-aircraft gun as our first move with the correct plane. Then we have an idea of what this army looks like, because we should reveal a few more tiles. If it looks reasonable, then other aircraft will engage priority targets based on whether this thing can actually completely annihilate these infantry or not. Should be able to move up the road here and get this, and then hopefully have enough movement left to get here, which leaves these three as all potential targets for this monster. With that eliminated and these three eliminated, this tank can move up the road here to this position and potentially take out this and this. That's clearing this whole raft of units. That leaves these three as priority targets. Move the artillery up here and potentially hit these, weakening them. Maybe use the Air Force as well. If we get them weak enough, we can take the surrender machine here and overrun them. Then poke that for a surrender. But this will be defended by this, so we need to consider this as well. So there's a whole host of things that have to go perfectly right for me to just smash in and devastate this front line. So we'll see how that unfolds. You know, I do actually think that gift tank, because it's got better stats than a recon. With ignore the zone of control, it might be a better recon than the recon. Okay, I think we're good to go. We'll also move these airbase tractors up here and see if we can just set up some airbases in more practical positions. the tanks that I'm using are very powerful, very good tanks, top of the line. So, in theory, against all these other Russian vehicles, we should be in a solid position. This one's got good initiative, but terrible stats. I think the recon cars have got bad initiative. Yeah, they've got 6. So hit and run will outpace them. Oh, T-28s. Need to assassinate those 21cm guns as soon as possible. They're very scary. Okay, that is it for deployment. Let's hope that this strategy unfolds as I imagine it. But first contact with the enemy and all that. But honestly, I think we have to make a stand here, because if we don't and we lose this forward airbase, we then have no airbase to use on the front line. This airbase is just too far away from the front line, which means you probably have to wait, and it's probably the intention for you to wheel these slowly up to the front line and then deploy them. And so you're going to be sat without your aircraft for 4 turns. That is unacceptable to me. Especially when I have so much firepower concentrated in this air fleet. So, yes, that is it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.